In this segment of Blogging 101, a look at basic blog promotion, some of the things you should be doing. There are other things, but this is kind of a look at the basics. And on some of the other videos you'll find on this membership website, you'll find more ways to do this, but this is kind of a look at the basics right here. Because you want people to like your blog. So first of all, make sure there is a link to your blog from your website. Makes sense? Often a company will have a website and their blog will be a part of the website. So it's XYZ company/blog. Oftentimes, though, the blog is a standalone. There's no real strong reason to do one over the other. It just makes sense depending on what your company wants to do. Of course, if you have a Twitter account, every time that you put a blog post up, you can have that blog post show up on Twitter, at least a link to it. And you can do that manually, or you can also set it up to where it is tweeted out automatically. I would recommend doing it manually, and you can also set up a blog with a plugin, a WordPress plugin, if you have a WordPress blog, so that there is a button on every blog promotion that, or I should say, every blog post that your readers have a chance to tweet out your blog post, so they have a chance to share it. So basically, those are the share buttons you're looking for. And of course, Facebook. You can also link your Facebook page to your blog. So if you have a blog post that goes out, it automatically shows up on your Facebook page. Again, you may want to automatically do this, and you may want to manually do this. It depends on how much you blog, and it also depends on how much control you want over it. Manual, of course, gives you all control, but that takes more time. You can automatically link them so that anytime you tweet something out or anytime you post something out, it goes out on Twitter and Facebook. Again, that's a consideration. There's no real right or wrong answer. It just depends on what works best for you and what you think the expectations are of your readers. I think one of the things to consider is that you don't want to offend people or have something show up on a Facebook page that may not be appropriate. For instance, if you're on Twitter and you want people to know about stuff on Twitter, people use hashtags on Twitter a lot. Well, if those hashtags show up on Facebook, a lot of people think those are annoying because they don't really belong on Facebook. But you're showing people that you're connecting your Twitter and your Facebook account along with your blog. Maybe that's appropriate, maybe that's not. That's up to you to decide that. But one of the cautions that I would give you. Of course, YouTube is a great place to promote things as well. Sometimes I've done a blog post and I put a video up just to promote the blog post, and vice versa. I put a video up on the YouTube channel, the Trade Show Marketing channel, and just inserted that in the blog. So that's a great way to do it. You can embed videos from YouTube onto your blog, and there's a great sort of cross-promotion going on there. You can send out email reminders. Often, if you have a newsletter, or even if you don't, there's a good opportunity to let people know. Let's say you put out a blog post that's very key to some element of your industry, and you know that there's 10 or 15 people that you are personally aware of, clients, for instance, or prospects, that might like to see this information. Just send them a quick email. Nothing wrong with doing that. And of course, we talked about the sharing posts, the sharing buttons on your blog. Ask guests to tweet and post and share, and you can actually do that in your blog post. I wouldn't do that in every single one of them, but there's nothing wrong with at the end of a blog post that you like, say, hey, if you really like this, make a comment and share it with your friends online as well. Other ways, you can, of course, talk about your blog and promote it at trade shows and events. You might even create a little postcard type of thing that people can pick up at your trade show booth that has blog information and the URL on there so people can find that very easily. Make sure you get your blog URL on your business card as well. That's very critical to getting the information as part of who you are and what you do. If you're a main person on your blog and you're one of the main writers or creators, make sure that that URL for your blog gets onto your business card. Also included in your email signature files. If you aren't using email signature files, you should be doing that. It's one of those things that every time you create an email, it automatically shows up in Outlook or other email programs. Very easy to set up an email signature file. And if you put your blog email address, or your blog URL in there, chances are you will get some traffic over the time to that, which is very important. People will learn about it. Even if they don't go there, they'll see the reminder every time they get an email from you that, oh yeah, that guy has a blog or that girl has a blog. I got to go check it out sometime. And eventually they will. And of course, search engine optimization when you do a blog post, and we'll get more into this later in some other of the videos, but you can set up your blog posts and think about it in terms of how can search engines find this? How can people be aware of this through some of the keywords? And a couple of the quick things to do on that, of course, are to make sure that the keywords that you want people to search for are in the title of your blog post, so that's easily searchable. And in the first sentence or two of your blog post, repeat those keywords. And you're only going to do one or two keywords so that it's easy to find a way to insert those into your title and in the first sentence or two. And of course you have an RSS feed. If you have a blog, you have an RSS feed. You may not know it, but it's there. And again, more on that in future videos here on the membership site. But an RSS feed is a great way to get people to read it, because often people will subscribe to an RSS feed even though they never go to your blog, but they'll still read your posts because it shows up in their email box or it shows up in their RSS reader. So different ways you can promote your blog online. You can also ask similar blogs to exchange links. Let's say there is a blog which is a complementary blog but maybe not an exact competitor. Nothing wrong with asking them to put your blog link into their blog roll. This is basically a list of links to various websites that are interesting to the readers of that particular blog. And it's very common online to share blog links on various blogs. When you speak to groups, make sure you mention, oh, by the way, check out my blog, tradeshowguyblog.com, and you can find lots of information there, so promote it there when you speak to groups. You can also submit your blog to search engines and directories. Depending on your industry, there may be a directory for websites. Sometimes there are, sometimes they're not. And there are search engines which you can also submit your blog URL to. Generally speaking, most search engines will find your blog eventually, but you can speed up the process, and there are certainly directories out there that can help you accelerate the process to get people and blogs and search engines to notice your blog. And again, you can send out personal emails to specific people. If you have a blog post that mentions someone, for instance, make sure they know about it. If it mentions their company, make sure they know about it. If it mentions a product that they are interested in or that you want them to be interested in, send them an email. Just send them an email. Just a one-off email to a colleague is nothing wrong with that. Hey, I got this blog post out. Just thought you might like to know about it. People like to be informed of those types of things. What about comments on your blog? Well, I encourage comments, and it used to be that blog comments were one of the key measurements that people looked at to find out the popularity of a blog. But not so much the same anymore, because a lot of people will, in fact, incorporate Facebook comments into their blog posts, either on their blog or they'll have the blog post promoted on their Facebook page. So comments on a blog itself are not quite as important as they used to be. But if you do want to have comments, be sure you remove barriers for commenting. Don't make it so that people have to register on your website, for instance, just to comment. That really removes a barrier, and most people will not do that. Make sure readers know who wrote that particular blog post. So that if you have 6 or 7 writers or a handful of writers on your particular blog, change the admin default on your blog setup to a name. Put a name there so that people know who actually wrote it, so they are interacting with the person that wrote that. You can also encourage people to respond to contests, and that is not a bad thing at all, because contests, people like to win things. Certainly you don't want to do contests all the time unless you just want to give a bunch of stuff away all the time, but that means people will come there only for the contests and not for the content. And again, if you want comments at the end of your blog post, just say, hey, what do you think about this? And ask people to chime in the comment section.